Morning. Good morning, everyone. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I personally pay respect to the Turrbal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I grew up on in Northside, Brisbane. So for those who don't know me, my name is Caitlin and I'm from the Mentoring for Growth program. So this program offers eligible businesses free access to business mentors who provide food for thought, insights and suggestions around the challenges and the opportunities you may be facing as a business owner. So I'm really excited to facilitate today's webinar on marketing strategy and planning. And this is an event held as a part of the Queensland Small Business Month. We're lucky enough to have three of our wonderful mentors here today. Firstly, we will hear from Andrea, who will provide some insights around the importance of market research. Next, we'll hear from Amber, who will provide her input on marketing implementation and planning. And last but not least, we'll have John, who will wrap things up with marketing strategy, hints, tips, and tactics. We'll obviously have an opportunity for questions. So if you have questions, please pop them in that Q&A function and we'll work towards answering them at the end of the session. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Andrea to kick us off. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Caitlin, for the opportunity and being here today with yourself, this exceptional team of experts that you've managed to put together. I'm feeling I need to lift my A game. So let's kick off today, team, with talking about the importance of market research. One of the biggest challenges when you're looking at taking your business, whether it's a product base or a service base, into the marketplace, the big challenge is always, so how do I position myself? How do I know where to compete, let alone who is my ideal customer audience? And how do I also market my business so that I can dominate my market share? So usually the first thing that we encourage people to do, and that is to actually do the market research. And this is taking a big, ginormous step back. It's usually done as part of your business planning or your business strategy. If you're meeting with a business coach or an advisor, this is a part that's really important for establishing which is the best approach for you to be able to build your business, more importantly, position. So there's just a number of areas that I'm going to encourage our audience to consider when looking at market research. First and foremost, and that is you should be looking at things like understanding what the entire marketplace looks like. This is looking at industry. This could be looking at big population bases, and you'll find that most businesses do fall into an industry category somewhere. It's a matter of understanding and identifying what that may look like. So, for example, if you look at, are you looking to set up a restaurant or a cafe? Maybe you're going to do a food truck. Okay, you're still part of that hospitality sector. So what part of the segment is going to be the right segment for you to compete successfully in? Now, when you're looking at market research, there are three core components you need to be aware of, and that's demographic data, that's psychographic data, and that's geographic data. So the first one, for example, is your demographic. This is the breakdown of the population size. And we did this quite recently for a client of ours who is a conveyancer. And one of the first questions he came to us with was, Andrea, I want to know where the next, not the current, but where the next 5 suburbs are going to be for housing purchases in Brisbane. What was really interesting was the first place we went to was the Australian Bureau of Statistics. I know most of you there are thinking, what? It's like, you would be amazed at how much data you can actually generate through the ABS. Because why? That data has been generated through government information. They use that for a lot of their policies, for growing their policies and moving forward. Now, what we identified first and foremost from a demographic perspective was that we wanted to understand, first and foremost, what is actually the shift in population bases. And when we analysed down from the 2012-13 census through to the 2021 census, what we found was that there had been an increase by almost 150,000 families who are now single-parent families. What does that mean? That one point of data alone changes the way that we create housing. It changes what kind of suburbs are going to be predominantly designed for single parent families. The other, on the flip side too, that we found was that there had been a significant reduction in couples with families as well, not only on Australia but also in Queensland basis, which meant that kind of information became relevant when talking with our conveyancer as to how he should market himself more strategically in the Queensland marketplace. The second one I talked about was psychographic. Psychographic is consumer buyer behavior. This is the motivating factors that causes people to buy what they buy when they buy. Now, I've got to be honest. There's no logic to the way we buy. It's all emotional. And then what we do is we justify our decision logically. So the key here is always looking at what are those emotional pulls and what is actually, I guess, impacting on those emotional behaviors. Why are we buying when we're buying? If we look at what happened with the housing market through COVID, suddenly it just went berserk. There was this massive panic. Suddenly people were buying homes through that period. So the key here is understanding what those psychographic pulls are for people. The third one here for us is geographic. Geographic is your location base. And for some of you on this call today, some of you are going to be location-based businesses. What does that mean for you? For you, it could be that your immediate audience is anything from a 5 to 25 kilometre radius from where you're based. So rather than looking at big data that's impacting in Australia, we may need to be looking at data that's within your immediate circle. Once you've understood the market, once you've understood the industry that you're a part of, the second step here for us then is looking at market segmentation. As we know, as I mentioned previously about hospitality, there's a number of different segments within that hospitality industry. Where are you going to play? Do you need to play across all of them? Is your audience actually anyone who, or does your particular audience fall inside a segment that you're quite interested in wanting to dominate? Now, we're doing this quite recently as an example with a client who is in the commercial fit out industry. He's actually created a software solution that increases your chances in projects from estimations. Now, the key here for us is that we had to do a lot of research to really understand how best to position his particular service in the marketplace, not only here in Queensland, but also through Australia. And what we found was that there's actually quite the niche audience there for him, or a niche segment that no one's actually taking advantage of. And that's purely from a geographic as well as from a demographic perspective. So the key with your market research is always to have a look at what is actually going on from a macro perspective, and then bringing it down into a micro that's more aligned to where your business wants to dominate in a specific market segmentation. Finally, just what I want to hit on here, and that is, when do we bring in the likes of your Google and your social media analytics? When do we incorporate that as part of the research? For us, we do that secondary. Why? Because we want to first understand what segments you shouldn't be competing in, what segments you should not be a part of, so that we can then understand what we do have left. And once we've got that, secondary for us is to go to Google Analytics and go to your Facebook, your Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn data analytics as well. Why do we go there secondary? Because now we can get a more clearly defined understanding as to what's happening from a real time perspective. As we know, the moment you pull data from Google or from any of your social media platforms, instantly that data is already shifted on. So the key here for us is to get your base foundation first. Then from that base foundation, we then go after the secondary data, which then helps us to determine how we can manipulate those particular programs or those particular platforms to then support your positioning in that marketplace, as well as know how to position you and how to market you. So some of the examples of data that you should be generating real time should be things like your competitor analysis, who is actually competing successfully on those particular platforms, what are they doing, what aren't they doing, and there's some incredible data that you can pull off there. SEMrush has an amazing program it's a free at the moment, guys, by the way, just saying. And it's a social media analytical tool. Just saying, it's free at the moment. They'll probably put a price on it fairly shortly, but also your Google Analytics helps to drive your keywords and understanding what are the keywords that you should be incorporating as part of your web copy, as part of your articles, your ebooks, your blogs, so that you can then also be found, and that then supports your SEO and your SEM strategies. So guys, market research is really important. It's what helps drive your strategy. It's what helps underpin your marketing plan. But more importantly, it becomes an integral part of how to execute that marketing so that you can dominate the market share successfully without taking that, I think that looks right approach.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrea. Wonderful, wonderful insights there. Amber, over to you.
Fantastic, thank you. So guys, today I'm going to talk about marketing planning and implementation and how it can help Australian businesses to achieve their marketing goals. So as you're aware, marketing is a crucial function for businesses and organisation, and it is essential to have a well thought out and executed marketing plan. In Australia, the business landscape is highly competitive, and it is essential to have a strategic marketing plan in place. Like what Andrea was referencing, so we also look at the Australian Bureau of Statistics. There was actually 2.4 million actively trading businesses in Australia in June of 2020. This means that businesses need to develop effective strategies to stand out and attract their customers. Marketing planning is the process of creating a roadmap for a company's marketing activities, and it involves things like setting goals, identifying target customers, developing strategies, and allocating resources. The objective of a marketing plan is to achieve specific marketing goals within a specific period of time while staying within the constraints of your available resources. The first step in marketing planning is to conduct the market research, which Andrea touched on. By conducting that research, a company can gain valuable insights into customer needs and preferences, the trends, and the competitive landscape for themselves within Australia. An example, the Australian Bureau of Statistics reports that the most significant industries by share of employment in Australia include healthcare and social services, which I suppose is no surprise for us at the moment, construction, as well as retail trade. Now, that information can be used to identify opportunities and threats and develop strategies to address them. Once that market research is complete, the next step is to identify the target customers in Australia, and that involves defining the characteristics of the ideal customer, as Andrea said, demographics, psychographics, and behaviours. By understanding the needs and preferences of that target customer, a company can develop marketing messages that resonate with them and increase the chances of their success. Australian Bureau of Statistics says that the population of Australia is projected to be 27 million with a median age of 37.4 years. That information can be used to define the characteristics of your ideal customer. So jump in there and have a look at what information could be beneficial for you. Next step in a marketing plan is to set specific and measurable marketing goals. Marketing goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So SMART goals, if you've ever done training on those before. According to the Australian Marketing Institute, some of the most common marketing goals for businesses might include increasing your brand awareness, generating more leads, increasing your website traffic, or improving your customer engagement. And those goals should align with whatever your overall business objectives are and be consistent with the available resources that you have. After setting the goals, the next step is to develop marketing strategies. Marketing strategies are the actions that a company will take to achieve its marketing goals. And John's going to touch on this in a little bit, but basically there'll be product development, pricing strategies, promotion and advertising, distribution and customer service. They should be based on the insights gained from the market research and target customer analysis. Finally, the market plan should be evaluated to ensure that it is effective. Now, that involves monitoring the progress of the plan, measuring the results, and making adjustments when it's necessary. According to the Australian Marketing Institute, some of the key metrics to measure effectiveness of a marketing plan could include your sales revenue, your customer acquisition cost, your customer retention rate, and your return on your investment. The evaluation process should be ongoing. It's not a once-off, and the marketing plan should be revised periodically to reflect any changes in the market or business environment within Australia. Effective marketing planning and implementation can help Australian businesses achieve a range of benefits, including increasing your sales revenue, brand awareness, maybe entry into new markets, depending on what your goals are, and also obviously building the long-term customer relationships that are going to help you. In 2019 to 2020, the total income of Australian businesses was roughly 4.9 trillion and the total industry value added was 1.3 trillion. By developing a strong marketing plan, businesses can increase their share of this market and achieve their marketing goals. There's enough there in Australia. Once a marketing plan is developed, the next step is to implement it. And implementation involves executing the strategies developed in your plan, monitoring of those results, and then going on and making continual adjustments as necessary. Implementation requires careful planning and coordination, and it is important to allocate resources and budget effectively and to assign responsibilities to the appropriate team members. Communication is also critical during implementation to ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards those same goals. It requires flexibility and adaptability, as unexpected challenges might arise and adjustments may need to be made. The organisation needs to be able to respond quickly and effectively to these challenges to ensure the marketing plan is successful. Implementation should be monitored regularly to ensure that the plan is on track and that your goals are being met. Marketing planning and implementation are essential for any business or organisation looking to achieve its marketing goals. It provides a roadmap for marketing activities and helps to ensure that resources are being used effectively. By conducting market research, identifying target customers, setting specific and measurable marketing goals, developing strategies, and evaluating the effectiveness of the plan, a company can develop a strong marketing plan. Effective marketing and planning can help a business to achieve a number of benefits. Firstly, it helps to increase your sales and revenue. By identifying the target customers and developing marketing messages that resonate with them, a company can increase the chances of converting prospects into customers. Secondly, marketing planning and implementation can help to improve brand awareness by developing a consistent and compelling brand message. A company can increase its visibility and reputation in its market. Thirdly, planning and implementation can help businesses to enter into new markets, as I mentioned. By conducting market research and developing market strategies tailored to that new market, businesses can increase their chances of success. And finally, effective marketing planning and implementation can help to build long-term customer relationships. By focusing on your customers' needs and preferences, providing excellent customer service, and developing products or services that meet their needs, businesses can build strong relationships with their customers and increase that loyalty. In conclusion, marketing planning and implementation are critical components of any successful marketing strategy for Australian businesses. By conducting the research, identifying target customers, setting specific and measurable goals, developing strategies, and evaluating the effectiveness of the plan, businesses can develop a roadmap for their marketing activities and ensure that resources are being used effectively. Implementation does require careful planning and coordination, flexibility and adaptability to respond to unexpected challenges. Effective marketing planning and implementation can help businesses to achieve a range of benefits, as I mentioned, including sales and revenue growth, improved brand awareness, and entry into those new markets, as well as building the long-term customer relationships. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amber. That was great information there. Lots to take in. We have got someone mentioning in the question section, we are recording this session. So if you really wanted to delve into those stats that the lovely Amber provided, you can certainly rewatch the webinar, and I'll send a link this afternoon. Last but not least, I'll pass it over to John. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Caitlin. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea's absolutely right. We need to know our target customer. It's really important to get very clear about that. And that's my first of my 6 tips, is that you need to resonate with your target customer. You need to know what they want, how they decide, how they buy, and you need to create something uniquely valuable that resonates with them. So my first tip is to resonate with your target customer. As a side note, what Amber was just sharing is planning. Failing to plan is a plan for failing. So I encourage you to make a plan and use that as a starting point, and then measure what happens and then update your plan. I think it's a very important piece. My second tip is to prioritize what I call customer retention. Customer retention of your existing customers is actually in many cases more important than attracting new customers. Because if you've got loyal repeat customers who rave about what you do, that can be the best marketing of all. So that's my second point. Make sure you look after your existing customers and find ways to retain them and turn them into an unpaid sales force, which is kind of cool. My third point is about branding. And oftentimes we spend a lot of time thinking about branding, and we spend time doing that on social media and in the real world. There's a bit of branding on my shirt at the moment. And the important thing about branding is it's actually perceived. It's not received, in the sense that people out there decide what our brand means, not us. So it comes down to understanding how our customers see us rather than how we want them to see us. So it's an interesting paradox. So brands are perceived, not received. In terms of branding consistency, we need to be consistent across platforms. Now, if the whole subject of branding confuses you, then spare a thought for your customer. So if you don't understand branding, then I would encourage you to go out to tender, get a bunch of branding experts to tender for your work, and then go with the one that makes the most sense for you. Because it's not something you want to do badly, it's something you want to do well. My fourth tip is to have a Google-friendly website. And I can't emphasize this more than I am right now. It has to be Google-friendly. It has to rank, because that's how people find your website. The other system that's worth having is a customer relationship management system, so you can track your activity. And you need to update both your customer relationship management system and your Google-friendly website on a regular basis. And I'm wearing this t-shirt because if you put John Hale into a Google search engine in Australia, some guy in America always comes up 1 and 2. But if you put John Hale, the strategy guy, or the strategy guy into a website in Australia, I will come up number 1. So I've had to create an alternate identity just to improve my Google rank. If I go overseas and I'm speaking overseas and I put my name into a Google website, I'm not even on the 10th page. But if I put John Hale, the strategy guy, I'll come up number 1 all around the world. So you need to know and understand how Google processes your identity. So you need to be unique and you need to be uniquely valuable. Number 5 out of the 6 tips is to use social media to drive traffic. So the best social media does 3 things. It speaks to your customers, your target customers, specifically their pain points and their interests. It drives inquiries to your website, which I said is probably the most important thing you get right. And it also improves your Google rank, which helps people find you. And the last thing I want to talk about, if I've got time, I've got a little bit more time, Caitlin, is to have a healthy competitor orientation. And often when I'm talking to clients about competitors, they go, but at the end of the day, you need to understand them. You're playing in the same pond as them as well. And there's an old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, there are laws in this country that stop you setting the same pricing as your customers. I mean, a lot of companies still meet on the golf course and do all sorts of weird and wonderful signaling to each other, but that's illegal. But you can still cooperate with your customers. So, for example, if you're in the same industry, you can source the same inputs as your competitors, and then that will help you drive the cost down and add more value to the marketplace. And I really love it when I go into, say, the Apple store and I'm looking for a component they don't have in stock. They say, pop down to JB Hi-Fi, you can pick it up there, and it's cheaper than the ones we sell here. Well, what that does is that builds loyalty for me towards Apple, because I know the Apple employees will look after me even if they can't sell me something. So don't be afraid to refer your customers on to your competitors, because it can create a reciprocal relationship, which can grow the size of the pie for all of you. And understanding the competitive marketplace means you can rank yourself against your competitors, and those competitors' strengths can be that coaching point for you in terms of improving your own product or service. So those are my 6 tips for strategic marketing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Wonderful, wonderful. So now, attendees, we have plenty of time for questions. We do have a few that have come through, so please pop them through. I find that these sessions is where our attendees get a lot of benefit from as well, so don't be shy. First off, I've got for Amber, what is the best platform to advertise my business on?
Oh, that's a very big question. That comes down to all those things that I spoke about, which was, you know, what is your budget? Because if you've got a $5 a day budget, then I'm not going to be suggesting you go on Google Ads, because that's not going to be effective. So it really would be depending on your business, where your customers are as well. Are you a B2B service, in which case potentially Microsoft ads might be more suitable, or LinkedIn advertising could be, if the target market you're trying to reach is a big enough organization that they've got employees actually linked to their profile. All of these are all dependent. What Andrea was talking about is doing that market research first is going to be the thing that then determines where to find your ideal target market, because you're going to know who it is. So I'd need a bit more detail to be able to answer that one. I do apologize. I'd love to be able to answer it directly, but without that detail, I can't give you my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Okay. John, what is the best platform to advertise? Sorry, that's the wrong question. How do I find the right CRM for me? So it's a bit of an overwhelming world out there in the world of CRMs. So just how do we start basically on trying to do that, make that decision?
Yeah, again, comes down to the competitor orientation I was talking about. See if you can find what your competitors use. See what you can find what other people in your industry use. Because in terms of CRMs, there are thousands of solutions out there. And the one you need there'll be a half a dozen that'll be really good for you, and there'll be hundreds that are not good for you. So you have to ask your competitors, you have to ask people in your industry, you have to people that you trust, which one's going to best suit your needs. And it takes time to sort one out. I spent 2 years looking for a CRM, and I've settled on one, and I'm really happy with it. But I won't recommend it for you, because unless you're in the keynote speaking business, it's probably not the right CRM for you. So speak with people in your industry, you'll find one.
Yep. Wonderful. Thank you, John. And while we're on you, could you just sort of touch on your 6th point in a little bit more detail for us, please?
Which one? The competitor orientation?
Yes.
Yeah. So for example, let's say you listed all the competitors in your space and you gave them a score out of 10 on their reputation, their product quality, their customer service speed, how quickly they got back to their own clients, the level of ongoing support or warranty they might provide as a competitor does relative to you, what their price point is, and what the customer search costs are for you versus them. And if you're a new shoe company, the search costs for your customers are going to be very high. If your competitor company that you're competing against is Nike, then the search costs aren't very high. You just think shoes, you think Nike. It's an interesting thing. I noticed recently the guy who won the London Marathon, he won it with a Nike swoosh and Nike shoes. But 2 days prior, he had a contract with the Chinese shoe company. And the Chinese shoe company flew to Kenya to have a chat with him before he ran the London Marathon. He disappeared, he bolted. They couldn't find him, so they went back to London, and then they discovered he was running in the marathon, and he won it in a record time with Nikes. So they're going to sue him for $100,000, which was the value of the Chinese shoe contract, but Nike will bankroll that. So Nike was smart enough to understand that this guy could win the marathon, and they knew the dynamics of this Chinese shoe company, and they cut their lunch. And if you understand your competitors, you can steal their customers away from them, just like Nike does.
Thank you so much, John. Wonderful. Okay, Andrea, any tips on marketing for direct selling businesses? For another big one.
Oh, that's a biggie. Okay, I'm going to make a few assumptions here.
Yes.
So to try and give some sort of parameters if I can. I'm a bit like Amber, it depends. So I'm going to make some parameters that if we're talking direct marketing, we're probably talking a product. We're probably talking a health and wellness product, because there's a lot of network marketing or direct marketing products in that particular sector. So there's a couple of key things you need to be aware of, and that is if it is a direct selling product, e.g., I'm just going to put some brands out there just to put some parameters around it. So if it's things like Isogenics, or if you are, what are some others, guys? Herbalife, or and I'm sure that Asana, I think, is another one as well. Thanks for the nod of confidence there, John. The thing you've got to be aware of is that when you are doing any kind of direct marketing product, 9 times out of 10, there are already marketing parameters around what you can and cannot do in the direct selling sector. So the key here is I'd be looking a little bit outside that proverbial square. You may find that social media marketing may not necessarily be an appropriate platform for you, as there could be a lot of competition or a lot of noise, inverted commas, already across those particular platforms. In most instances, you are geographically positioned. So you, let's say, for example, you're based in, where am I, East Brisbane. You may actually want to target a 20-kilometre radius or a 15-kilometre radius in this area first and foremost to build up a database and network of customers. If that's the case, guess what? There's this thing that we used to do before social media came along. It's called network marketing. It's actually called going to groups. It's talking about going face to face and meeting with people who may potentially be interested in wanting to know more about you and more about the solutions that you're bringing to market. So if I was going into the direct selling, what I would do first and foremost is I'd go find business groups, network groups, any kind of networking groups through Meetup, Eventbrite. There's business associations out there like Chamber of Commerce, BX, BNI. And I'd be looking at the feasibility of actually joining those kind of groups and developing a network of potential people or strategic partners who may actually refer people to me for the solutions that I have to offer. That's a really smart way to go, because you've got to remember, we buy from emotion first and foremost, and we like to buy from people. We had 2 years where everything was online and there was very little physical contact or face-to-face contact. Now what I'm seeing in the marketplace is more people are starting to look for actual human connection first and foremost. So it may well be that for your product, you go face-to-face first, build credibility, build reputation, in particular around you as a trusted individual, and then also around the kind of products that you're bringing to market. And then I would use social media as a secondary strategy to support.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea. Okay. So does the strategy guy have any other SEO quick tips for Google ranking? Strategy guy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Google probably looks more at websites than it does at social media, because it's more of a credible information source. So what I do with my website to maintain my Google rank is I update my website every single day. So I have a product I use, which is Kajabi. It's really easy to use. I just go and I might change one word or a couple of words or a sentence, update my website every single day. And that makes sure that I stay high up on Google around the world. So that would be my biggest tip, is just find a way to just, because the Google's crawler goes out and looks for changes and updates. And if your website hasn't changed for 3 months, your ranking drops. But if your website's changed just one little piece of information, it might even be a full stop overnight, it picks up and says, oh, there's a change there, right? Obviously, it'd be better to write a blog every week than update your punctuation. But yeah, regular updates to your website will make a big difference in terms of your SEO ranking.
Great. Thanks, John. All righty, Amber, is there a magic formula for online and offline marketing activities, particularly B2B businesses in the early startup phase, e.g. what tactics would be good to implement? Another big one.
Magic formula? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure you see little cases of people on TikTok where they said overnight my business was successful, and look at all these, delivery notes punching out of my machine that I pressed go on and recorded as we were going to put that live to help promote myself. B2B, look, it depends on the channel that you're looking at doing. So my business itself is a B2B model. We do different types of marketing required to get our business being seen effectively, but a lot of ours is face-to-face communication, because we found that that's the best tool for us. At the end of the day, there's not a lot we could put anywhere else that was going to build that trust, because it's a trust required relationship. If yours is a business to business, we find that Microsoft ads work quite well because users are on desktop. But again, if you don't have a website, then that's going to be challenging to run ads to something. And you'd want to have a look on analytics first to see, are you mobile users or are you desktop users? Because if they're mobile based users, then Microsoft is not suitable, because no one technically is looking on Bing ads on their phone, but they will do on their PC, because if they've got a Microsoft PC that's inbuilt with Microsoft, well, Bing is the search engine primarily. You can do LinkedIn advertising. I referenced the point that to do that, though, you've got to make sure that the businesses that you're wanting to advertise to have got users that are actually linked to the company. So go and do your research, have a look to see, let's say I wanted to target the Coles group or Maya or whatnot. I'd jump onto their profile and check that they've actually got thousands of team members that have linked themselves in there, so that the artificial intelligence robot knows the information that it needs to look and find for. Depending on what it is, if you're an electrician providing services to hospitals, for instance, then you're going to need to find that key decision maker by doing active research, and then work out where are they, what are they wanting, how is it that you're going to be different to anybody else that's offering the same service, what's your unique point that makes them need you, what's a problem that they have that you're the only person is going to be able to solve it, or if you're one of a million people, why you versus them? It's a very difficult question for me to answer, because every business is going to have a different requirement.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amber. Okay, do any of our mentors have a recommendation for social media marketing short courses for service-based businesses? Does anyone know any off the top of their head? Alternatively, you can have a think about it and email it to me afterwards and I can send it to the group.
I was going to suggest, Caitlin, Brisbane City Council's been running some free marketing workshops all year, and I believe they've got more coming that you may be able to find at their Brisbane Business Hub, which is in Queen Street. And they've also been doing some out at Nunda as well. So Brisbane City Council, I'd see what they've got available.
Sure, thank you.
And it's good to do that for an overall understanding and awareness, not necessarily for you implementing it yourself. And I'll preface one thing, Google changes its goalposts every week, basically, and Meta, which is Facebook's parent company, does the exact same thing. So if you are going to attend a course or you are going to watch a YouTube tutorial, make sure that the content is from within the last month, because anything longer might be out of date unless you're looking at this from an overall education. I'm wanting to understand so I have a seat at the table when my marketing people are talking with me, then that's fine. You can look at greater things, but if it's to try and implement it yourself, it needs to be within the last month, the content.
Right. Yeah, agree. And also the Business Queensland website, and I'll include the link in our follow-up notes. We have a wealth of webinars and events coming up. So there's a calendar of events that I'll send a link to everyone also. And over the next few months, we will have ourselves have a SEO and social media focused webinar as well. Okay, so are there any specific platforms for people in the science consulting sector? Oh, that is a very specific question. Unless any of our mentors are in the science sector, but I don't think they are, I probably would recommend you speak to your industry association as the first port of call for that question. Would you agree, mentors?
What was the question?
Any specific platforms for people in the science consulting sector?
LinkedIn, probably.
Oh, would you? Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Well, there you go. Attendee. Okay.
Just on that note there, Caitlin, too, just picking up on something that John raised, which is a really valid point. And that is, you've got to make sure that you do have your website current. Now, if you are looking at doing consulting specifically into that particular sector, so science, engineering, project management, then another opportunity there could be articles as well. Talking about, I guess, what you know as part, what your expertise may be from a consultant's viewpoint. That's always a really great way to go. Inside LinkedIn, there's a lot of opportunities in there. You could do what they call now as LinkedIn newsletters as well. So those two must go hand in hand. I think, can I just say for a lot of our attendees, and this is, I think there's an overarching point coming through here from all three of us, and that is you can't just do one thing. You've actually, it's like driving a car. You need four wheels. If one wheel is flat, you can still keep going, but if two or three wheels are flat, you've got an issue. So you need to be looking at a combination of marketing vehicles or marketing tools to work together, right? There is no magic bullet. Sorry, team. Let's just blow that out. There is no such thing as a magic bullet or a magic formula when it comes to marketing. There is having a culmination or combination of marketing tools that can work together to help you achieve your particular goals. But once again, like anything, like your car, you've got to take it in to get it serviced on a regular basis. You need to get your wheels checked. You need to get your brakes checked. Marketing has to work the same way.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, Amber, are there any rules on the things like direct marketing, i.e. calling or email potential customers out of the blue from Yellow Pages and other forms of directories like that? Whilst it doesn't scale, is it worth the effort?
It just, again, it depends on your business, but yes, in terms of rules, I refer to it as cane bags. That's the way I remember the days that you're not allowed to call someone, which is Christmas, Australia Day, New Year's, Easter Monday, Boxing Day, another A, I can't remember what it is. G is Good Friday, and S is any given Sunday. Cane bags, if you, I don't know, you Google it, I'm sure it's there. I learned that 20 odd years ago. But cane bags is when you're not allowed to call. The laws could probably have changed more recently for business to consumer calling, and I would definitely suggest that you look that up and not just go off what I've said today. This is advice, not necessarily the truth. Go and check it out. In terms of business to business, there's also respect. And when you call and communicate, the law might say that you're allowed to call from 7 a.m, but would you really want to be speaking to someone at 7 in the morning on the topic of your choosing? Is it valuable? Is it worth the effort? Does it scale? Again, depending on what your business is and what you're able to do, and whether or not speaking versus emailing versus having an ad in front of a person is the best medium to acquire a new customer. That's going to come down to your individual business itself. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thank you, Amber. Okay. Next question. Recently, I niched my copywriting business into medical and life sciences, but this is such a broad industry. I've tried to target certain things within those industries, but do you have any advice on how to make myself known for this? What member would like to answer that question? Anybody jump in a bit? John, you're not on mute. Would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. I think the best question, I don't have the answer, but I can give you a question. And the question is, what is really going on here in the copywriting for medical sciences area? Obviously, we've got smart AI copywriting tools coming out left, right, and center. And you may find some of these organizations may develop that capability in-house with the excess staff they've got as AI penetrates. I think you need to be up the learning curve in terms of AI assistance, in terms of your copywriting. And I think you, just like as Andrea is saying, we need to get out of the electronic space and into the real place of these organizations and find out what they need, find out what their pain points are, and come up with something uniquely valuable that meets their needs. So resonate with your target. If you don't understand what you need to do for them, you're probably not resonating with them. So you need to get a little closer to them. Take them for lunch. Find out what they think, what they smell like, what they drink, all that sort of stuff. Get intimate.
Thanks, John. Well, this leads in. This is our last question. If anybody else has any last minute questions, please pop them in. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up shortly. But this leads on to a little bit of the AI discussion that you just raised, John. What are your thoughts on ChatGPT/AI and now Bing becoming prominent competitor against Google? What should businesses be doing to ensure that they are remaining ahead of the game? Anybody?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I love chat. I love it. I think it's great. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the beta launch for the Bing model as well, to see how that one operates. So I think it's absolutely exciting. To ensure that you remain ahead of the curve, things you can do, there's probably about 5 or more. Optimize your website for multiple search engines. Stop focusing on just one. Look at how are you performing across the board. So use tools to see how are you ranking. You have to ensure that you're optimized for all major search engines and being mobile optimized. So having a mobile optimized website and a desktop optimized website, they're 2 very different things. If your website is not mobile optimized, it will not show on a mobile device on Google at all. It kicked you off about 3 years ago from ranking in those top pages because of it. So make sure you're looking at both areas. You need to keep your eyes on the latest trends and developments in search engine optimization. So SEO is the pop word everyone's saying. It's constantly evolving and you need to stay up to date with the latest. So, I mean, there's 3 pillars to SEO: content, architecture, and backlink. Google forever and a day, well, for probably the last 7 years, been saying content is king. So making sure that you're focused on that. And that's why John was saying updating your content is important. I'll also state, don't do too much all at once, because if your rankings go backwards, you might not know what it was that you did. So be conscious as to what are you focusing on. Focus, as I said, high quality, relevant content. Prioritizing creating high quality content will provide value to your target audience. Make sure you're writing it for an audience. That can help to improve your rankings and attract more visitors to your website. Utilizing social media and other channels. So in addition to SEO, you should also utilize social media like Facebook, LinkedIn. I think Andrea mentioned Pinterest and other channels to reach your target audience and build your brand awareness. And continuously analyze and optimize all your marketing efforts. You should look at what is working, what's not, what's online, what's offline working, and use A/B split testing to analyze behavior and monitor, what the results were from it.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's all of our questioning done for today, and we are coming up towards the end of our session today. So what I would just like to share up on the screen, obviously the Business Queensland website has a wealth of information to support you on your business journey, particularly around the marketing side of things. We've got marketing basics, writing a marketing strategy and plan. Also, we have the complete back catalogue of the Ask a Mentor series. So all other business topics as well as webinars that we've recorded as well. As I mentioned earlier, you can register for any upcoming webinars and events through the Business Queensland website. So I'll send these links as well as the recording to today's session after we wrap this up. And last but not least, if you'd like any support with your marketing strategy and your planning, you're more than welcome to register for a free Mentoring for Growth session. I'll send the relevant links to you as well. And finally, thank you to our wonderful mentors here today for providing us all of that wonderful wisdom. It is a lot to take in, so thank you very much for helping us today. And a big thank you to our attendees for also taking the time out of your day. Everyone's got a very busy schedule, so thank you for coming along, and I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. Thank you so much. Thank you, mentors.
Thank you.
Thank you.